Hey everyone. So today I'll actually gonna be discussing how we can take UX to the next level with React Suspense and Concurrent mode. So before starting, for the ones who don't know me, so hey, I'm Nikhil. I'm a software engineer at Postman. I actually handle stuff around design systems, Postman on the web, and Postman is a platform. You can actually find me on Twitter, on GitHub. I actually love to talk about design systems and performance in general. So come say hi. It's actually going to be a great chat. So before diving in, let's actually cover what are going to be the key takeaways of this lightning talk. So in this talk, we are actually going to discuss how we can actually have more control over the loading area, which means how we can actually control where exactly do we want to show a loading state. Is it going to be the whole page, or can we actually control our loading on the UI that's going to be asynchronous with the API called Suspense? Secondly, we are going to see how we can start prefetching our data or our screens in background while we are right now in some other screen with the magic of concurrent mode. And thirdly, we'll actually see how we can actually reduce that janky spinner loader experience, which actually the users for our faster connections actually face, with a loading indicator which just comes and goes in a flash for them using a hook called use transition. Okay, so with that being said, let's actually deep dive and tread this road to a great UX together. So I'll actually switch to a small demo of a Twitter dashboard that I actually have here, right? So this dashboard actually shows me a profile section, which shows my name, my designation. It has a small about me section, which actually displays a small description around me and the work that I've done. And there's a tweet section, which actually just shows what is the current tweet that I tweeted. Just don't try to go check the Twitter. It's just something that I've contrived. So, and there's a next tweet button, which I click, and then I just see another tweet. Okay, so far so good. Now, let me actually just go and switch to concurrent mode on version of this app, and let's just see how we can actually improve the UX right now. So let me just refresh, and I go to this About Me section. And if you see, I have this nice big loader on my whole tab. And because of even if I have just small content inside my tab, which is my description, which was right now asynchronous, but I'm actually loading my whole tab and I'm actually showing a spinner for this whole section, which is actually not a great user experience, right? I could have actually rendered my static content as regardless of the fact that my description is loaded or not, right? So moving on to how it is right now coded, let's actually see how we have actually written this up in our code. So we have a suspense block. Inside this block, I have some static content as a small div. So what if I could actually take this particular div out and render this inside or outside the suspense block, right? And this is actually how Suspense actually gives you a fine-grained control by defining a small sort of a boundary. And it lets you control over what exactly do you want to show your loading upon. So let's save this. I refresh this app. I go to my About Me section, and now my static content is already there for my users to interact with while my description was still loading, right? Okay, so far so good, and it's simple. Now, let's actually try to uncover and see how concurrent mode can actually help us in removing some of those more loaders, right? So on the left side, we actually have a synchronous mode of that app, and we actually right now fetch stuff while we are going to a screen, right? So in the left, when I click on this About Me section, I see a nice loader, and then I start loading that stuff, right? But since concurrent mode is something which switches tasks according to priority, I can actually start fetching my description and my tweets actually when I'm right now on the profile page, and I can actually start rendering things in parallel while I'm on this profile. So what do you think that what would happen if I just go to the About Me section and I just click on this? Would I see a loader? Let's actually find out. So I click on this, no loader, no spinner. It just appears that it was actually right now there, right? I click on this tweet section, no loader. But on this left-hand side, I click on this, and it now starts to fetch stuff while I'm now right on the screen, right? Okay, so two spinners have now been mitigated. Okay, now let's try to actually uncover another use case, right? So what happens when I click on this next tweet button? I actually see a loader, and it just comes and goes, right? I just see it in a flash. And this is something that our faster connection users face, right? And the purpose of this loader is right now defeated because this small milliseconds of time would be something that you would actually skip that loading state, right? And you would actually just let your screen be as it is rather than just showing the loader. Now let's actually try to remove this loader itself and use a cool hook called use transition. So I have this component right here, which is tweet list. And let me just comment out this line, which is called use transition. And what it actually asks me to give it is a timeout in milliseconds. Now, what this actually means is React will actually switch my or skip my loading state if my data actually comes within this 2 seconds of time. So if I check this on click logic of my button, right, this is actually the logic where I actually set my state and enable loading state with suspense. Now, what if I could actually just take all of this, I copy and I use start transition, which actually has a function, and I copy and paste all of that stuff inside. Okay, and the start transition actually takes care of all the stuff that if the data actually arrives within these 2 seconds of time, just with the loading state. Now, let's actually use this is pending Boolean value, which use transition gives us. So let's disable this button to actually see this. I save it. Now let's actually see how things happen in synchronous and concurrent mode, right? So I click on this tweet section. Now I'm seeing a loading state for the first time. Click on this button in synchronous mode. And I'm right now seeing a loader, which is not really code like. So let's actually see what happens when I switch to concurrent mode. So with that use transition hook, I can actually skip that loading state now, right? So I click on this next tweet. I don't see a loader. I just stay on it as it is. And then the tweet appears in a flash. Let's actually see one more time. I click on this, no loader, and the tweet appears just like a flash. And it seems that it just all happened in an instant, right? Okay, so far so good. And I think we have actually made some good improvement and progress in terms of a good UX, right? So far so good. You guys are awesome. Now you all might be tempted to think that, hey, this is a super cool API, and let me just use suspense and concurrent mode and tell my managers and technical leads, and hey, let's use this API. It's awesome. And this is something that actually Facebook and React itself might not be in favor of right now, because suspense for data fetching and concurrent mode are something that are right now experimental. And the Facebook team is right now still looking for more feedback, since the APIs are still expected to evolve and can be error prone right now, since it's right now experimental. So you might actually want to fiddle with these APIs in your personal side projects, but thinking of something that is enterprise is not something that you would actually want to do, right? Since things can be error prone. Okay. On a side note, we are building great things at Postman. So if you'd actually like to be a part of our journey, please come say hi and visit us at our careers website. We'll be glad to connect and discuss things forward. So with this, I'd actually like to end my talk. A big thanks to all the organizers and the sponsors who are actually working so hard to making this conference a great success, and all the speakers, and at the last but not the least, your audience. You guys are great. I had actually a great time discussing my thoughts with all of you. So thanks a lot.